Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Grumman Pilots YouTube channel. And you might remember back in February, we ran across Darren at Machine Age Lamps, and he was looking for a nose bowl and a spinner so that he could replicate what he had done here for the Cubs at the Navions, because he had a Grumman owner who wanted an Enterprise orange nose bowl to mount in his bar in his home. And so he contacted me about getting the spinner and the other bits to make this happen. Now let's go on with the story. So we would like to ask you, please subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the notify to stay current with our content. Now, we did a video a couple of weeks ago on Machine Age Lamps, and it was all because they were looking for a Yankee Nosebowl for a customer to do a project for them, and that kind of got us started doing that. And the project basically revolves around taking a Nosebowl and adding some bits to it, taking a spinner, again, these do not have to be airworthy, adding the rotating assembly, and putting some lights on it, and then they sell this product, and it makes a great thing to hang on the side of your garage mahal, or in your man cave, or even in a hangar. And you know, they just want to make sure it's all authentic parts. And so that got us started down the road of path that we're going to be trying to find a nose bowl. Now, they wanted one, if they could, in Enterprise orange, because that's the color the Yankee was. So we started right here. We started with the Yankee Nosebowl. And by the way, that T is probably for the Tennessee Volunteers down in you know where. But anyway, we also have this purple one and the spinner and some other bits. Now, you may have noticed in their red and their yellow product that was rotating, that if you looked in the inlets, you could see rocker covers for the various engines. One said Franklin, I couldn't read the other one. But anyway, in our nose bowl, we're just going to have the bracket air filter screen guard down in the bottom, the landing lights in the nose bowl, a rocker cover on either side, and then a spinner that is going to be part of the assembly along with a spinner backplate. So we have a purple one, and here we are looking at it. You can see not a lot of body work has to be done to that one. And then here's the orange one. It's going to need a little attention. They're going to have to buy the Enterprise orange paint anyway and repaint it, but this is what the orange one is starting at. And again, it does have the Tennessee Volunteer logo for Tennessee University of Tennessee right there. And then we're going to be using chromed spinners, or maybe even a painted spinner if the other guy wants his spin it. And then we're going to be building a gate that looks a lot like the bracket air filter foam holder, and we're going to be putting that down in the airbox, so you'll see something when you look through. And then in addition to that, we're taking these spinner back plates, and you might remember those of you with an 0235 and a spinner and no forward spinner bulkhead. Well, this is what they look like on the back side. Here they are on the front side. Those are dynamic balance counterweights that we'll be removing. But anyway, we need the spinner back plates to hold the spinner, because that's what's going to rotate. Then we're also going to be putting a landing light in there to fill the hole to make it look more authentic. And with the landing light, you need the landing light ring and the landing light spacer, as well as a GE 4509 bulb. And we actually have a couple spares that were on the shelf that nobody's going to be putting a 4509 in these days. They're all going to be going with LEDs. And then we actually took them and put them on the floor. And the nice thing about having a tile floor with 1 square foot tiles is that you can lay this on the floor, and then very quickly you can say, oh, okay, so the crate's going to have to be 2 feet 3 inches by 3 feet and about 2 feet thick. So now we know how big a box is to box up the nose bowl and pad it and all and get it ready for shipping. So that takes care of the nose bowl. And again, we want to make sure nothing happens to this one, because it's already in pretty good shape. They're just going to scuff it up and then paint that one Revolution Red. I have requested that my assembly that they're going to be building be done in Revolution Red with a polished spinner. And then here's the back plate, the landing light ring, the landing light, and the rocker covers sitting on the floor. To kind of give an idea for them. Now we're going to box all those up and put them together, so that again, when we ship these off to Machine Age Lamps, they'll have everything they need to make 2 of these, one in the Enterprise orange for the customer they already have, as well as making an assembly up for me that we're going to be hanging in the hangar T11 at Hogan Field. So for those of you who attend the summer gathering, hope you'll be able to see it, because I think it's going to look pretty good hanging up on the wall and rotating. So stay tuned as we talk more about the bits that we're putting in the box. Now we're using the Lycoming covers that were from the year 1969-1970. We also had available some of the Avco Lycoming ones that came later, but we're not going to be using those, keeping it all original. And these, by the way, are original Yankee Nosebowls. So they have the curved inlets. They're not the AA1C. They do have the landing light and normally a duct down there that goes to the bracket air filter that holds the insert. And then on the back side you have a landing light mounting plate for putting in the landing light and be able to adjust its position so you can aim the landing light pretty much where you want. So these will have to go down and be cleaned up. This one will have to have some body work done to it, but it will be all body worked on the front side. Then they will shoot it in Enterprise Orange, which was one of the original Yankee colors, along with Revolution Red, Pilgrim White, and Patriot Blue. And we'll be sending down a spinner. Now we're going to be sending down one for our project that's going to be polished up really nice. And for the other one, we're going to be sending down a blue spinner that you'll see here coming up later. That one is going to get stripped, primed, and then painted in Enterprise Orange to make it all consistent for the guy. So that's what it's going to look like if you could imagine a Yankee Nosebowl with all that spinning. And as we saw from the Machine Age Lamps website, they make aviation stuff. Avionics can be turned into lamps, desk lights, and many years ago we took a control head for an autopilot simulator, and here we are. We restored the wood, restored the metal, the instruments we left all original, don't have anything to hook it up. Bought some little nylon feet for it at Home Depot, and needs to be dusted right here, but then we put a treatment on all the wood to preserve it, and we use the original wood. So you can make aviation art out of a lot of different things. So there's just a little couple things for you. I mean, how many of us do we know who have propellers hanging on our wall somewhere? So back in February, those were our plans. Well, here it is, June, and we have a brand new crate sitting on the floor of the hangar, and it's very well wrapped, and it's very well constructed. And now we're going to begin the process of taking it apart and getting everything out so we can go through the process of figuring out how we're going to mount it in the hangar and then getting it mounted in the hangar. I would like to say this is a really nice piece of art. I was impressed with the work that Darren did at Machine Age Lamps, and so we were happy to help with this project. And so we not only came up with enough for the customer who wanted the Enterprise Orange with his original IN number and all on it, but we were going to go ahead and contribute another set to have one made for our hangar. Now our total price on this was about $5,800. We bought the parts and we're including that in the cost, and then there's the shipping, which is pretty substantial, and then the construction that they do, and it took a couple of months to get it all built and completed. But anyway, here's Luann and I, and we're going through the process of getting it out of the box. And I can see already one of my favorite packing materials was used: peanuts. Hate peanuts. They get everywhere. So we're going to have to get some garbage bags, and we're going to have to bag them up so they don't get all over the hangar. I know Shop Monkey doesn't like them because they get on the floor, and then the dogs come in and they want to eat and chase them. But anyway, coming out of the box, we had all the spinner bits, the spare light bulb, a spare socket, and they were all packaged very nicely, even in the package. We also had the spinner. Now, the spinner was all wrapped in plastic and everything else, and somewhere down in there is a nose bowl, 2 light bulbs, and some other assorted hardware. But we're going to look at the OSB that was contained in the thing, and this is a picture right here of the spiral lights. There are going to be 2 of them that go round and round, actually serving as propeller blades on the rotating mechanism. Now, Luann's we're still working on getting all of those out of there. But we're going to use the OSB and that lumber that you saw that the crate was made out of, and we're going to use that to construct something. We want to attach this nose bowl where the wires cross that brace the hangar up on the the southeast corner. And so we're going to begin constructing that measurement, and then we've already taken their measurements off the wall, so we kind of know where we're going. So here's a little bit of a time lapse of us just going ahead and doing all the construction, and I'll be back in just a moment. Now our basic game plan here is the board that you see and the boards are going to go on the back side of the board, and we're going to use 8 Adele clamps, and we're going to, matter of fact, we're using Adele clamps number 7, and we're going to be using them to attach the board, 2 on each of the legs, making a cross where they contain the cables that hang on the wall. So that's going to affix the board to the cable. Now the 2x3 lumber you see right there is going to go on the back side of the OSB, and it's going to be screwed to the OSB from both sides. And then we're going to be able to put the lag bolt in. There are 2 3-inch lag bolts that is constructed into the nose bowl, that there's a space for them to hang on. And so we're going to put those in so that when we get the pegged in the board up on the wall, then it's a simple matter of picking up the nose bowl and hanging nose bowl on the pegs. And then once the nose bowl's on the pegs, we can begin the process of putting the spinner on, putting the lights and all in place, and hooking up all the wiring. So here's Matt right here doing one of the first fits of the nose bowl on the wall. Now it's actually up on the wall here, and that was a good test fit. And we had to borrow the scissors lift from Tom Hogan, because this is not something you want to do. That crossing point is about 10 feet off the floor, and that's not something you want to be up on a ladder. And the nose bowl, with all the rotating groups and all in it, with the steel and all, probably weighs about 60 pounds. So it's not insubstantial. As you can see, Matt is working right here to get it onto the pegs, and then once we've got it on the pegs, well, then it's a simple matter from there of going ahead and attaching all the other bits to it to get to the final assembly. Now, we've been constructing this various video for the last couple of months, so it may be a little bit out of order. But anyway, here we have the nose bowl. Finally, it's up on the wall and it's secure. So now the final bits can go onto it. That's going to be the spinner. Once the spinner's in place, then we can attach the 2 lighted propeller blades that go on it. Then we can also hook up the power. The power is going to be snaked down the cable and gone to an outlet and be put on its own sensor switch, so we can turn it on and off remotely. But anyway, it's up on the wall now, and then we're about to get it going. So stay tuned while we flip to the next frame here. So now the spinner's going on, and again, it's a normal spinner, so we've got all 22 screws to put in it, because we do have a forward bulkhead here. No, I'm sorry, we've only got the 16 rear screws. We don't have the 6 forward because it is a Yankee spinner. Sorry, my bad. But anyway, here it is up and running on the wall, and it looked pretty good, so I was very happy with that result. And then here it is much more closer, and as you can see, the cable's running with the power down the side. Not too much of the board shows through. It looks pretty good. I actually want to add the tail and a rudder assembly on the other side of the wall outside, so I can advertise Yankee Aviation on a Yankee tail. But now we've turned the power on, and you see there's lamps above the rocker covers. We have an incandescent landing light, and then we have the spiral LED that go round and round and round. So I'll let you look at this for just a second, and I'll be right back with you. So let me say, it's been a fun project. I'm kind of glad somebody wanted to have a piece of machine age lamps art in their bar, because that inspired me to help collect all the parts and get enough parts to have one made for me. Now, again, I did mention the price already. They are a little bit pricey, but they are, I think for me personally, they are well worth it. The Revolution Red finish on that nose bowl is outstanding. It's very close to a Ferrari red. And then, of course, we had to find the spinner back plate and the spinner and all the other little bits. And, of course, staring at machine age lamps, took the rocker covers and mounted them on a backing, as well as all the hardware to hold the rotating group and mount the mounting point for that we can hang it easily on the wall. And then we also got the bits and pieces for the bracket air filter, so that we have something in the inlet right there. And as you see, it turned out very nice. I'm very pleased with the result. I guess it was well worth all the detail. And you might notice the little detail finally of the anti-chafe cloth tape is mounted all the way around the outside of the nose bowl. I mean, this literally looks like you could take it off and mount it on an airplane. If you didn't have an engine in there, it would probably fit and look pretty good, but it'd be interesting and not flyable, needless to say. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased with the result of this, and this is why we're showing you the video of this. Again, it's machine age lamps. I was speaking with Darren. This is a Yankee. You could easily do the same thing for a cheetah. A tiger would actually be easier because you don't have the air inlet right there. And on the tiger, you could mimic what goes on, what he does with some of the other lines, where he takes a cylinder and cuts it in half and mounts it on the board. So when you look in through the upper air inlets, you see the side of a cylinder, which is something you're used to seeing. And I guess you could add a little bit of baffle and baffle seal to it for authenticity. So we hope you found all this useful and informative about a Nosebowl art project. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day flying your Grumman. So we hope you enjoyed all of this. Thanks for watching.